Hi everyone, so I'm Doros. I'm a volunteer here in France in IDC in the village of Les Tours, and I'm here to talk to you today about my experience as a vegan for the last year and as a vegetarian for the better part of the last 4 years. So what I wanted to start with, just to have everyone on track, is like a brief explanation of what veganism is, by just sort of repeating that veganism is it's our choice to abstain from the consumption of animal products. So that will be, of course, being vegetarian, like not eating meat and fish, of course, but it's also about what animals produce and we use. So eggs, milk products for many people, that's also honey. It can be insects, which is a special case. And also it could be non-food products like hygiene products and clothes like leather or products tested on animals. So why have I gone vegan? Well, first of all, it's what I think is best for the animals themselves. So, well, just to put some things into perspective with our relationship with so-called domesticated animals, what we call, for example, breeding is actually can be seen in industrial scale as repeated pregnancies, where the calf is separated shortly after it's born from its mother. We can look at the aspect that chicks that are born male are quite useless for the industries, so they just get grinded away. And we can also consider the grave consequences of having a massive number of animals in the same space and just doping them with antibiotics to prevent what is obvious to happen, what's happening right now to this world with COVID. So why else? Well, for the planet, for the environment. Basically, animal farming alone is responsible for 20% of greenhouse gas emissions and much of water pollution, land degradation, and a lot of very serious phenomena that are connected, for example, in Amazon deforestation. And a vegan diet has 1/3 of the impact of an omnivore diet. And this is because for every 1 calorie of bovine meat that we want to consume, we have to feed it 7 calories of protein only, of cereals. And that is literally 7 times more the food that we need to produce in terms of actually plant agriculture. And of course, it's also for my own health. Vegans have been tested to be much less likely to get cardiovascular diseases, cancer, certain types of cancer, but also diabetes compared to omnivores. So why did I go vegan myself? Well, yeah, first of all, it's friends. Maybe not everyone has that vegan friend, but I happen to have some at different stages of my life, and that's how I first became vegetarian. I just was persuaded by some of the arguments they gave me, so I started reducing my meat. And then when 2017 came around, I decided to just stop it. And then eventually, even though I considered it completely impossible to abandon cheese or eggs, by last year when I moved to the Netherlands, aside from my best friend that was really trying to convince me, I also happened to have a flatmate that was vegan, and we both just tried. We were a bit flexible in the beginning, you know, solutions take time. Reading those ingredients on the supermarket is a bit annoying, but eventually it's a habit. It's a habit. That's it. That's what it is. It's a good habit, and these are the arguments I've tried to give you. So what is veganism for me? Well, I don't want to exaggerate this, but it is a form of activism. It's an awakening. It's the decision to start a conscious participation into the world and the economy with something as fundamental as food, whereby you start considering the impact of your consumption. So, is veganism the future? Well, actually, in my view, veganism itself is not. I can't really envision a vegan world. Changing these habits is complicated and slow, and there's a lot of different habits that have to change that are not food related or animal product related, that are very, very important. But what I can envision is a much less exploitative world. And what I'm doing right now is trying to offer myself as an example of how we can live with a lot less of animal products and be perfectly healthy and perfectly happy. I basically want to become what my friends were to me, not a judge, but an example. So how do I deal with it? Well, of course, I have to adapt my kitchen. I have to buy some different things, like more whole grain things, more nuts, seeds. I have to learn to cook legumes better. And I'll give you an example of some of my favorite general substitutes and solutions. So one are vegan burgers that I make with various legumes, kind of whatever you have, and a lot of love. You put them in the freezer and you have them for ages. You can have them for breakfast, you can have them for a snack, you can have them for anything you wish, and they're pretty tasty and quite proteiny. There's also vegan gyros. This is something I made here for the first time myself with oyster mushrooms. You shred them, you marinate them, and they taste incredible. Vegan ragu, as beautiful as maybe a bolognese you think becomes after spending quite a bit of time while cooking, the same you can achieve with, say, lentils or maybe soy meat. And it's really a question of time and love and herbs that you want to put into your sauce, and it becomes really spectacular. Another is my I don't want to claim it. It's a banana ice cream. So basically you have old bananas, you don't know what to use them, or well, even new bananas if you really like them. You just chop them up in pieces, put them in the freezer. When they're defrosting, they actually create this really creamy texture that's very much like ice cream, and you don't need to add sugar or anything, but you can add some flavorings if you want after, and it's like ice cream. Voila, super simple. And then of course one of my absolute top favorites is vegan parmesan. I don't want to go against the EU's protected origin rules. What I mean by parmesan is the flavor, the idea, and basically you use cashew nuts and the magic nutritional yeast, which is still a little bit hard to find, but actually not that expensive for how much it lasts and how it tastes, and a few herbs and mostly spices, and then you put that in the blender and you have this wonderful powder that tastes has very full flavor, and it's quite close to parmesan for your pasta, for example, or any other snack. So I've mentioned a bunch of ingredients, and they're all plants. Wow, fascinating. Might as well be chewing on grass like horses apparently, and I'm sure that some Uncle Sam or someone is telling that you're never going to survive if you don't eat meat or milk. You're not going to grow up, you won't get your calcium, you won't get your iron. But actually, for example, lentils have a bunch of iron, and apparently if you don't have coffee after your meal rich in iron, then you absorb much more of it. Another classic is B12, and B12, in fact, concerning industrial production, is not actually that densely found in beef, because it comes from when they chew accidentally on the ground, and that's where they get the B12. And in either case, B12 is a very cheap supplement that you can get. It cost me €3 for 1 year. And what else? Of course, proteins. You've definitely heard of proteins. Well, all the above that I mentioned, like legumes, especially soy or beans, peanuts, for example, sneaky peanuts, or other nuts, have a crazy amount of proteins, about 25 to 30 per 100 grams, which is massive. And it's the same for a lot of grains. And of course, when you consume only plants, you get a lot of fibers. So your actual ratio of proteins to the rest of the calories you get is quite high. And in fact, concerning my own health, I've been very active during the last year. I've been cycling a lot up hills and down, and running while I'm here, and I feel very healthy, I must say. Yeah, actually among the healthiest that I've ever felt. So voila, my defense. Okay, so another one I forgot is iodine. So that's what you find normally in the sea. If you don't eat fish, then apparently you don't get a lot of it, but you can start eating seaweed, which is a plant. And although they're not always very tasty, they can be extremely tasty if you have some vegan sushi. You might also be missing selenium. What is that? Right, so vegans actually start knowing what they need and covering for it. You can get these in Brazil nuts. They're not the tastiest, but they're easy. It's like a pill every morning, and they're actually very healthy. They have a lot of omega-3s, and they're really not that expensive or artificial a supplement. And I had a final one that I wanted to mention, but it is really escaping me right now, which is I don't remember. Right, so let's wrap up. Okay, Doros, so you've just told us that veganism is a pain in the ass, and it's not actually the solution to everything. So why the hell am I going to do that, and how? Well, what I tried to demonstrate is that, we're small, we're little, we don't have to be the heroes of the world and change everything, but it's the first step to any change, in my view. And what I suggest is that you take up a month and you say, this month I'm gonna try and go vegan. You can make mistakes, I don't care. I told you, for me the future is flexitarian, but the important thing is to show to your own self that you can live vegan and that you don't need these animal products. That's my message. Be a better example. So you may find yourself missing cheese or craving for eggs and bacon. You may find yourself desiring salmon or sushi. But so have I, and so have many others. And if you consider these problems, then really honestly, they are but needles in a haystack of global issues of animal farming. So what is veganism to me? Is it a solution to all the world's problems? No, it's not. I'm sorry. But it's a first step. It's a deep step. It's a fundamental step. It has to do with your everyday life, and it really demonstrates or becomes a core part of your realization of what our existence and consumption habits on this planet entail. It's a first step. It's just a first step, but it's a big step. It's a deep step. And it's a step that involves, well, all of you. It involves your most fundamental instinct, that of survival and nutrition. It really demonstrates that you are becoming aware of how important our habits are. So I'll leave you with one challenge. Go vegan for 1 month. It could be now, it could be in 2 weeks if you have your exams now, I don't care. But try it for a month. Show to yourself that you can live without animal products for 1 month. You don't have to throw away all your woolen jumpers and leather shoes, but don't buy any new ones. Okay, thanks.